Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hello. In this video, we are going to talk about how to run UX workshops with customer support teams. But first, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm talking about this. So I'm Havana Nguyen. I'm a senior UX designer at a startup that made the clinical trials for the COVID vaccine happen. That startup is called Florence Healthcare. And before I even got into UX, I was in customer support for a software company. So if you're working UX, some of these problems might resonate with you. Maybe you're working on a complex existing product or domain with very little time to do actual discovery and research. Maybe you don't even have access to actual users. Perhaps redesigns in the past have been met with resistance, and honestly, you don't know what you don't know. Well, I'm about to make all of y'all look like goddamn geniuses at work. So wait a minute, what's a customer support UX workshop? So this workshop extracts all the usability and functional issues of a product. It takes about 2 hours, and in the workshop you basically have up to 8 customer support reps share and collect insights and issues. You can also collect metrics through this workshop, and it's basically a whole crowdsourced UX audit. So why customer support? Why not SMEs? Why not users? Customers are the first line of defense for all issues with the product. Anytime a user gets stuck on the interface, anytime a user doesn't know how to find something or messes up configuring the product, customer support is who they go to. So as a result, customer support reps know every workaround, every hack, every blind spot, every pothole in the product that could possibly happen. They also know the very intricate and nuanced use cases, edge cases, and the needs of the customers in a way that no one else in the company knows. So how does one prepare for a customer support UX workshop? Well, first of all, you want to invite about 4 to 8 participants. I find that any more than that, it gets a little hard to manage. You also want to have one co-facilitator, and I will tell you why in a little bit. And basically, you want to get a mix of roles. You don't want just power users. You also want to have a mix of people who have been there for a few months, new customer support reps, and also understand how the CS team is actually broken down. Is the implementations done by a separate group than account management? How are new versus old customers handled? Do CS reps just handle any and all support tickets coming in, or do they get assigned to the customer rep who has that account? Do reps tend to stick with the same account, or is it more of a communal thing? How are priority or big accounts divvied out? Is your support team kind of split out by tiers? And then finally, how does the CS team actually measure productivity and success? So what you want to do is you want to get a mix of these people into your workshop, just so you can get more of a diverse range of insight. The workshop itself should take about 2 hours. Now, just keep in mind that these are customer support reps that are supposed to be on the phone, answering email, answering support tickets. So if you can't get 2 hours of their time, I would break it into 2 sessions if one is not possible. Another way to tackle it is to maybe have a smaller group for those 2 hours. So let's say you can take 4 reps, have them for 2 hours, but then swap them out and get another 4 reps for another 2 hours, just so there's always coverage on the support lines. And before you actually run this workshop, I highly recommend that you do a dry run. As far as the setup, what you will want to do is use some sort of digital whiteboard product like Miro or Mural. And what I do is I take photos of every or almost every screen in the existing legacy product, group them in ways that are going to make sense, like group them in terms of flow or sections or whatever way will make sense to the customer support reps. And then just because like the customer support reps are most likely, like they probably don't know what Miro is. So what I like to do is also have a little section on the side where you can have a little tutorial. Now, you don't want to just blast out invites to like 8 random customer support reps and expect them to show up and help you out. Every workshop needs pre-work. And I learned this from a guy named Bill Hewley. So one of the things you're going to want to do is actually build a relationship with the customer support manager. First of all, they're probably not very thrilled that you're going to be taking a portion of their team away from the phones and email. Building a relationship with the customer support manager is going to be really important to get buy-in into a workshop like this. That customer support manager can also point you to like that mix of people that I talked about. Also, what you want to do is you want to kind of show the value of what you're doing and the value of UX design to the customer support manager. I also like to just message the participants one-on-one ahead of time if you can. It's just nice to have a little bit of name recognition before the actual workshop, just so they know what to expect. And when I message them, I like to just keep it simple. I'll tell them, I'm Havana, I'm going to be facilitating this workshop. The purpose of this workshop is to find out from your perspective, like what are customers complaining about, where do they get stuck, what's on their wish list, what do they want, different. And I'm excited that you're going to be a part of this. I value your feedback. And then, so that way they can kind of understand what to expect, what you need. And also, I like to encourage the participants to, start thinking about some of the common customer issues before the workshop on Thursday, or like, what should I know about the team before I get started? Do you have any concerns about the workshop coming up? And also nudge them to make Miro accounts beforehand. It's going to save a lot of time and hiccups. Now, how do you actually run the workshop? So this is what my agenda typically looks like. You got 5 minutes for intro, 5 minutes to teach people how to get onto Miro and use it, and then like about 10 minutes for instructions and rules. And so basically I tell them, what you see are going to be screenshots from the current product. What I want from you is to put down these sticky notes next to these screens. I want to know, where in the system are people getting stuck? Well, what workarounds do you have to resort to help the user, the customer, accomplish their goals? What have been common complaints about a system? What parts of the system do customers really, really like and you do not want us to touch? Like, bring up edge cases, bring up everything you can. Don't even worry about censoring yourself. We're open to any and all feedback. Finally, follow it up by about 40 minutes of heads down commenting time, where they're actually like, you're not talking. They are putting in stickies silently, not verbally, and we will talk about why. And then finally, it's followed by 40 minutes of open discussion about what's actually on the Miro board. During the commenting, well, first of all, why comment? Why can't we just verbally tell you what the problems are? And the reason why is because we only have 120 minutes. I promise you, there's no way you're going to get through every single thing. And then sometimes one topic might take up like most of the time. And what I find that when people are able to just think for themselves and like just kind of put things down, you're not going to be able to discuss all of them, but you have so much more information to work with. So during the 40 minutes of commenting time, what am I, the facilitator, doing at this time? Well, I like to start a timer. So for the 40 minutes, I'm actually like starting a timer on my phone. I also like to play music. So over here, if you go onto YouTube and just look up lo-fi, you'll find so many mixes. And I just like to play a little music just because it kind of kills the dead, awkward, silent air. Most of the time, like 9 out of 10 people really like it. And it just kind of helps kind of like loosen their mind a little bit, and people don't feel so like self-conscious. During the commenting, as the music's playing, feel free to speak up, like encourage them. In like, for example, this one workshop we had time go on, and like for 10 minutes I still didn't see any stickies. I'm like, hey guys, just realized we're about a quarter in and I'm not seeing any stickies. Is anyone struggling to put stickies on, or is anyone confused about what we're doing? So that's something you can do. Or halfway through, I will point out, hey, we're halfway through. Looks like we got a lot of great comments in these sections, but I'm noticing that these sections on the right need a little bit of attention. So if you can, just move on to the screens on the right. You're gonna get this where all the screens at the beginning have a ton of comments, and the ones towards the end have very few comments. So feel free to speak up during the commenting section, just to like remind people like, hey, you can move down the page as well. I still need insights on that. And then finally, as people are commenting, read through the comments. Start tagging the ones that look interesting, like you need a little bit more explanation or a little more context around. I would mark those. So let's jump into Miro. So here, I kind of came up with this dummy page. So this is the little tutorial section of the board. And I like to just like, encourage people to try out putting the stickies down and putting their names, so I know who said what. That's going to be important for after the workshop. I also like to list down like what I'm going to be looking for, examples. And so here we have, I used Eventbrite as an example here. And like with each page, these screenshots are just screenshots of the existing product. It's nothing I've designed. Users are able to hop in here and start putting down comments. When you make these boards, I highly recommend that you lock all of the screens. So if you go ahead and select everything and then lock it, that way your team doesn't accidentally move the screens around. So they might pop down a sticky and there's no way of accidentally moving around the screen. So then we're gonna do the cooking show, like take the turkey out of the oven. So in this example, we have 3 participants, Raymond, Shruti, and Ayudele. And I know this because they put their names down. And so let's pretend that these 3 have been like placing their comments all over the board, right? And remember, you're probably gonna get a lot of stickies up here because people are gonna obviously start there. You feel free to massage it by speaking up and actually encouraging people to go down. And so from here, as people are putting down their comments and everything, I will actually go in and start picking out things. So let's see here. So maybe like sometimes when customers set to be announced, the emails don't actually go out to their attendees. Oh, okay. I want to learn more about that. And you can mark it however you want, but I like to mark with a little sticky. And so then that way I know for myself that I want to open that up for discussion. Let's see here. Forgot to get rid of this one. But let's see, like, I'm also looking at, okay, users need to customize fields in CS4. Oh, why? That's weird. Mark it for open discussion. And so I might pick out a few And then, so during, like, once the 40 minutes is up, I do, at the end, I do like to tell people, hey, we have about 5 more minutes. Feel free to kind of wrap up some of your comments. And then, once we get into the open discussion, I don't have to waste time reading through and trying to pick out stuff. I've already marked it. So I might go over here and just go, all right, so red is Shruti. Hey Shruti, I noticed that you said that, sometimes when these customers set the location to be announced, the emails don't go out to the attendees. Can you tell me a little bit about that? So what's the point of this open discussion? The open discussion is really useful because then, maybe Shruti has like a couple of cases where this really became a huge issue, and then Raymond can come in like, hey, you know what? That just happened to me yesterday. This guy, da 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 da. And so like, what's cool is that you're kind of like building a case and getting a sense of like, how frequent is this? How impactful is this? You start picking that up. And so then for the allotted 40 minutes or however length of time you set for the open discussion, I would just kind of go through and like curate the discussion, right? Let's move on to the next one. Users need to customize fields in CSV export. What's that about? And so maybe I can go back and see that this is Raymond. Raymond, what do you mean? Can you tell me more about that? And then maybe Raymond says, oh, well, they need to customize and export it into the CSV so that they can like import it to another tool. Oh, another tool? What do they use that for? Oh, they use it for blah, blah, blah. And now, you guys, all of a sudden, I'm getting like bigger pieces of the puzzle of the big picture. And this is what I'm talking about, in that like, man, you get such like deep details and use cases and interesting problems that these customer service people have to solve all the time. And as a product person, as a designer, as a developer, you might not have ever been exposed to these use cases. So anyways, that open discussion section is really important. You probably might still not get to everything, but at least you can spur that conversation. Another thing I'd like to do with the open discussion is don't start with your power users, and also don't start with the most senior people. You want to start with the newer people. Let me tell you a tragic tale of a workshop gone wrong. So, I had done this customer workshop before, and it was a success in the past. And now I was at a new company. I was going to get flown out to some place to do the same workshop with the customer support reps at the new company. Well, when I got there and I tried to do my thing, I had my screenshots posted up, and I gave them my instructions, and the manager of the customer service team that I was doing this workshop with, he just looked at the screens and he said, so what's the point of this? Like, why do we need this? I don't understand. And I was a little confused because I thought I had explained it, and I sent him the agenda, but I explained, what we're looking for is we're looking for customer support reps to kind of give us a little bit of insight into the use cases and the customer insights and blah, blah, blah. And he was just so stubborn about it. And he was just like, I just don't understand. I think this is a waste of time. And I ended up having to defend my job in front of this guy, in front of his team. And it took it was a conversation that just circled the drain for 40 minutes. And so I'm looking at the clock I was flown out here. I prepared all this stuff. I'm losing time here. And then I realized all the other support reps were quiet. So when I was trying to get a different perspective, they were just kind of quiet, oh, I guess he's right. I guess, yeah. We don't really need, I think the product as it is fine. Even though I had just done an in-field observation where they were struggling, the product as it was not working out for them, or it's not like efficient for them. So I was really surprised that all of a sudden they were all telling me that this was a waste of time and the product was fine as it is. So let me tell you where I went wrong, okay? First of all, I did not do the pre-work. I did not have any contact with all the other customer support reps other than the manager. I also didn't really do the pre-work with the manager to like make sure we were on the same page in terms of expectation. And maybe he didn't realize that there was going to be like this interactive part with like stickies and stuff. Second tip is know who your hippos are. What's a hippo? Highest paid person's opinion. So what was happening was that the manager of this team, he had been in this role for about 20 years. So you can imagine that the system he was using, it works for him. He knows it. He doesn't want to learn new stuff. It's like, and that's why like with power users, it's a little tricky because they have a lot of great information, but because they have worked with the system for so long and it does everything they needed to do, the developers probably custom built a lot of like slapped together features to support those customer reps. Sometimes they just can't see how it can be designed any other way. And what will happen is because of the power dynamics, if their manager says, we don't need this, like people can learn this, it's not a problem for me, so why would anyone struggle with it? Well, that's kind of intimidating the rest of your team from speaking up because they don't want to look like idiots, they don't want to look incompetent, so of course they're not going to speak up. So I would say ask the newer people first and have a co-facilitator. I was in there by myself. And with a co-facilitator, I could have had some backup. Co-facilitators are also helpful in that they can take notes for you while you're talking and facilitating. But a co-facilitator could have also done some damage control. So if they saw that this guy was just giving me a hard time, they could have pulled that guy aside and like, hey, I just want to talk to you real quick. Pulled him aside outside of the room. Okay, so it seems like you have a lot of concerns about the workshop. Talk to me a little bit so that I could go ahead and move forward with the workshop while someone else is trying to figure things out and mitigate things with the problem child. And then finally, I would say have no more than 3 rules in terms of like instructions, right? Don't tell people to like censor like don't tell your customer reps to say, hey, we only want you to put down information from customers who are in X industry or customers making more than X amount of revenue. When you tell your participants to start censoring themselves, they start second guessing everything that they're going to put down. And so you might not get all the information that you possibly can. It should be on you to curate and filter out what you need. And also, it's already like very strange for them to first submit their insight like this, also work on a digital whiteboard that they've never used before, also work with a UX and product people that they've never collaborated with before. So you don't want to like overcomplicate the instructions and the rules because they're already making such a cognitive leap to even participate in this workshop. What do you do after the workshop? So here's the cool thing, and this is especially way more useful with Miro than with like a physical like set of stickies in a conference room. I can literally just go ahead and select, and I'm gonna go Command C to copy and and so like you can take all the insights from the actual exercise and you can actually start playing them down. Looks like I didn't lock this one. Here, bam. So here I could clean it up And then what I can do is now I can actually prioritize it, right? I can prioritize these comments from impact and effort. This is just one example of a matrix. You can figure out other criteria. And maybe you don't want to prioritize this way. Maybe you want to prioritize by phase. You can also copy and paste them and then figure out, hey, if we start fixing these problems, like maybe we can do it in phases. Let's tackle the easiest quick wins first, and then phase 2, and then phase 3. And all of this was done in 2 hours. You got all of this in 2 hours. Now, I already mentioned that you're probably likely not to get all the stickies discussed. So what I like to do after the workshop is I will start a group chat with those participants. And so that way I can follow up with questions and maintain that relationship. Because remember that the stickies are all color-coded, right? So I might find another sticky. I'm like, you know what? I actually don't know what this means. So I can go back and see that it was Shruti. So then I can go into the group chat and specifically tag her and ask, hey, copy and paste the question. Like, hey, you said this about this screen. Can you tell me more about that? I don't do it through DMs because with the group chat, it still kind of creates kind of community, and also like the open discussion, other people can chime in with insights and examples as well. And so what I can do from here is you can, again, prioritize these comments and stickies. You can extract user stories. You can review with devs and product to see like which should be on the roadmap to get fixed, etc. But so now that you have this group chat, they've already participated, they've already had FaceTime with you, they kind of know like, okay, I now understand like what kind of information she's looking for. You can now employ them to get feedback, to test, to conduct focus groups and validate some things. Now you have like a built-in team of people to get design and research feedback from. So in conclusion, this workshop is fire, y'all. Like, I don't know how else to explain it to y'all. You honestly will gain deeper insight in 2 hours. I will condense weeks of work into 2 hours. You also will get a tangible readout of the current issues. So all those stickies, right? And you can actually use them as metrics to measure against. So let's say now that you have these stickies, you can prioritize them, but you can also grab metrics on them. So customer support teams have support tickets. They track the number of calls. That's how they actually track their productivity and how they succeed, because most people have a quota on how many support tickets to resolve and etc. So let's say for this example, users call in to ask where drafts are. They can't find the drafts. You can actually ask your customer support manager or whoever to like, hey, can you pull up the record from the past 6 months and see like how many, how often are you getting these calls? Or like, how often are you getting support tickets on these specific issues? And now you have a baseline. You have a baseline that you can actually track against. And let me tell you, when you can provide the stakeholders with those baselines, like, hey, right now, the customer support team is getting 20 calls a week about this page. We need to focus on this. Here are some usability things we can do. And like after the redesign, if you can track like how do the calls go down, you can actually even structure the research and usability tests around those metrics. This is such a powerful method, and it has not failed me except that one time where I made a lot of mistakes. And CS loves it. They love being involved. They get to feel like they're finally part of shaping the product. But you will look like a genius, I promise you. It is so helpful. Anyways, if you have some questions, feel free to comment below. hit me up. I'm Havana Tweets on Twitter. You can hit me up on HavanaNguyen.com if you want to email me and check out my work and learn more about what I do. Also, if you don't know, I just launched a new podcast where I talk about all sorts of things surrounding productivity, around creative side projects, job hunts, mental health, career development. You can check out that podcast link down below in my description, or check out some of my other YouTube videos. Anyways, thanks for listening. Let me know how this workshop has helped you. Maybe you come up with another thing to add that's super useful. Would love to hear that. Anyways, thank you so much for checking my video out. Peace.